It seemed that everything about Foozie was English, except her passport. But here, without that English passport, she is equally alien.
Let me just outside your mouth, okay? Just to stop you getting sore around the mouth. All right? Lovely.
The way the law stands now, Foozie is not eligible for citizenship, although she has spent half her life here. Her plea to be allowed a passport on compassionate grounds was also refused.
Eddie? How are you, Ed?
Hello.
Hey? How are you now, hey?
A look at her situation today leaves one wondering if it's Foozie's grounds or official compassion which is lacking.
Hey? You hungry? Hmm? Oh, so sweet, Eddie. Tell me, how are you? Hmm?
Yes.
Tell me, how do you feel today? Eddie, talk to the nurse, eh? Talk to the nurse, Ed.
Oh, they won't be long.
Pardon?
They won't be long.
It won't be long? It won't be long for what?
Till they die.
Till you die?
Oh.
Oh, you mustn't talk like that, Ed.
Understandably, Foozie feels she's jumped out of the frying pan into the fire. Provided she remains a Commonwealth student, she can stay here. But lacking the money to go to college, that means a job as a student nurse. Coming as she does from a society which traditionally looks after its old people, it's ironical that the condition of her stay is now to look after ours. For this, her salary is £10 a week.
I would give anything to serve these patients, but my life being what it is, it's just, you know, it is not, I'm not able to do anything for my family, and I'm sort of locked in here in this situation. I'm unable to do anything about it. I came back hoping to find a good job in England, where I could have had scope in some career and been able to help my family. This job demands so much. The long hours of work, being away from even my sisters and brothers in London, living here on such a small student salary. I'm neither able to help my family. I'm not even able to do very much for myself. All this is so much a strain. I feel terribly imprisoned at times when I don't get along on wards with some of the senior staff. It's almost like a threat hanging over me of being sent back. Dear Brian, thank you for your offer of help, even though I realize it may not be all that possible to change the conditions laid down on my passport. If things had not been so terribly difficult for me back home, I would have saved myself all this trouble and quietly gone back to Pakistan. I sometimes feel I have lost all my battles. I can't win in Pakistan. When I came back, it was almost like coming back to myself. I hoped I'd find myself somewhere. But I haven't.
Today, Foozie's nieces and nephews follow in the same path which she is now trying to retrace. Will they too get lost somewhere along the way? A summer picnic for the family has a strange, dreamlike quality, somehow in harmony with the kind of fantasy world which aliens are forced to create for themselves in a foreign country. Bushra and Rashida, Foozie's married sisters, have lived in England for over 18 years. The remarkable degree to which their families have combined the best of East and West has not been achieved without cost. Their children cannot speak their native language and do not know Pakistan.
Hi, Syra. Hi, beautiful.
We're hungry, Mummy! Give us a bucket of food! Get in the boat!
Can't you fish?
Jump in the water, we'll save you!
No, thank you. I don't trust you.
Come on, Daddy. Put the back up here now.
Like other Indian and Pakistani families, the Hamids, Ahmads and Razaks have that kind of year-round, all-embracing family solidarity which Westerners reserve only for weddings and Christmas. People like Roshi and her family are reluctant to completely integrate here because they recognize the threat to much of what they value in the Muslim way of life. For their children, integration is already an accomplished fact. But they must one day be brought back into the fold if their parents' way of life is to survive. This is why questions of identity are so painful.
The Pakistanis who have lived in this country will not be able to settle down properly in Pakistan.
Yes,
because
I
once
agree
you
with
have
you
lived
there.
in England,
There'll be a lot of
you don't belong either to England or to Pakistan.
That's true. That is true. I agree with you. Yes. Because whenever I have some visitors who have just arrived from Pakistan and who don't know England or life in England, I realize that I cannot talk to them very much because there's a limit of, we don't have much in common. And
There's a big gap in our thinking.
there is a gap in our thinking.
These are the conversations, the discussions that go on day and night once we have a family gathering. It's very much like a group therapy discussion.
You want to belong, the sense of belonging somewhere. You feel, when you go to Pakistan, you don't really feel completely that you belong there either. This is a very, very strange thing. I think because you've lived here 20 years, you don't really realize it. But I think if somebody gave you a year and said, go back and, settle in Pakistan, you'll find that there are so many things you can't
put
put
up.
up.
Hard.
Yes, it would be very hard. So,
But you see, we are making an effort to settle down here. If we were to put the same effort over there, would we be better off or wouldn't we be? That is the question, isn't it? Look how much effort
I
we have
suppose-
taken, and I'm taking every day. Even today, I find at times that I don't know, I'm a complete failure. I
yes,
don't
because
belong.
here you're always trying to change, like the natives, say, like English people. You're putting an effort, and that is true. It took you 20 years, and you're there, but only halfway.
No, I wouldn't say I was even halfway at times. I'm
well,
not sure.
I think I am. I have.
I suppose you work. Well, the problem
Yes.
lies with the housewives who stay home.
You're right.
And
You're right.
especially, well, I can speak English or I can converse with English people. Even then, I find completely isolated. Honestly, Bushy, sometimes I'm in the morning, I open the door and I'm putting the bottles out. And I see some English ladies walking by. And suddenly I realize, I say to myself, as though I'm reminded that I'm in England. As soon as I shut that door, I'm in a world, perhaps Pakistan or where, I don't know, but I'm in a world of my own.
I used to think at one time that it only had damaged me somehow. But whether they admit it or not, it has affected every member of the family. And I think they have these discussions often to seek into themselves. They're trying to keep up their identity in a country where we are foreigners, we are coloreds, we are immigrants. And I think therefore these discussions help us to know where we rightly stand and whether we know our identity at all or not.
She moves away, see?
Well, she's scared, that's why. Let Sarah do it, look. Don't scare her. Don't
They build their own little country at 46 Belleville Road. And they shut their doors to the agony of being immigrants, of being foreigners. They don't want to think of it for those few hours, and they're very happy. They've made Pakistan for themselves. They've gone back home. They didn't even have to buy a ticket or fly over or anything.
The desire of friends and relations to reconvert Foozie to their ways has a kind of missionary zeal. They see the arranged marriage as the single best guarantee of the family life they prize so highly.
I'll have to marry you.
Many of the Asians that come to our homes in London, they come to communicate the idea of an arranged marriage for me with my sisters. And this to me is very difficult because I feel I will spoil the relationship between my sisters and their friends by having to say no if it came to that. I know that it's very nice of these friends to suggest things and feel concerned about me, but I'm so afraid that after asking how's the weather or something, the next question they'll ask is, when are you getting married? And when I say I don't know, they're going to start talking to my sisters. What about that boy? And I don't want that to happen, because if it does, I know that I'm going to turn around and say, I'm sorry, I don't want an arranged marriage.
For an Asian girl, questions of marriage involve the whole family.
Dearest Samina, I hope you got my last letter all right and were able to keep the contents to yourself. When I go to London, everyone talks of nothing but Mummy and Daddy's arrival from Pakistan. I wonder if they ever stop to think what parents will make of them after all these years in England.
Can I say to you this, Roshi? Why are you so scared that I may, in some of my ways, particular ways, perhaps annoy them, perhaps upset them? And why do you think that they should come and stay with us as long as they wish, instead of staying with Bushy all the time they are here in England?
It's because you are sort of a brown Englishman, really, aren't you? You've changed so much, and they are different. They are more Pakistani. And
Roshi still keeps the old ways, but Razak is becoming quite the hard-sell Englishman.
Do you mean to say that I have lost my identity by being in this country for a few years?
I think
for quite a few years, I have become more English than Pakistani.
It is true, but I think in that case we all have that thing. I mean, we all have changed. Even
that is what we are all concerned about, actually.
Yeah. And I think I'm worried when they come. I think worried about my children. I think they will think that perhaps we are not bringing them up properly, not in a Muslim way, like he would have brought, the way he brought us up. He would think perhaps we are not teaching Scihon and Sarah and all our children Urdu language. We speak to them in English all the time.
Sin, say, sin, ray, sin, say. Najis, Sophie and Fidu send love. They're so affectionate and sweet. Their life is so simple and uncomplicated. It's like a new game when Latif gives them the occasional Urdu lesson, almost as though they're just part-time Pakistanis.
Father will be very disappointed about that, and he will emphasize on that why don't children know our language, and have we taught them namaz? Have we taught them anything about Islam, our religion? Do they know the history of Pakistan? We are breaking away from the traditions, and that is what I'm afraid that's going to disappoint them very much. And they'll be questioning about your
even as far as marriage. My 3 sisters are here, and they're all working, and my parents will definitely say, why are you wasting your time? Why haven't you done anything about your marriage? Well, right, I will get in touch with so and so family, and they have some sons, and I'm going to invite them to dinner.
One day he'll just come in and tell Mahfooza, be here on so and so day, and I've invited some family. Tell Mahfooza and Mubin and that's it.
They're coming to see you.
They're coming to see you. And as soon as the boy and the boy's family approve and the things are settled down, I think father will.
Then Daddy will say, well, that's it.
That's it.
He's a good boy. There's nothing wrong with him. He earns
Yes.
good money.
And then the final cat will be, look.
The family discussed nothing else but what they'd like to call my future.
And you know.
That you should
God knows what will happen when Daddy comes.
Because
also the daughters are married. They are at that age that they should really get married. And in Foozie's case, father will be right. Foozie is
I'm moving to see
25.
girl.
And if father would be right. Father wouldn't like to go, and I mean, he will never be satisfied.
I believe that a girl, an average girl, must have some guidance as far as her marriage goes, that she shouldn't depend entirely on her own counsel, because the way the world is, perhaps she might make a mistake, or she may be led to make a mistake, and then regret it afterwards. And then that would be a tragedy in the family.
Yes, because they are younger, I think they'll listen.
Are the wishes of your parents paramount in this? Will they be supreme? If your father and mother found 3 eligible boys for your 3 sisters, will you side with your parents?
I
3
will.
eligible
Yes,
boys.
definitely.
I will. If I would definitely side with them, because I know, Mahfooza, how if this doesn't happen now,
But
most
supposing
probably when father and mother go away, I don't think we'll ever come to this stage that it has to be done.
No, supposing
And
the
then
3
perhaps it never happens.
Supposing all the 3 girls said, or majority of the 3 girls said, we don't want to have this marriage, what would you do in such a situation? Will you side with the girl, or will you side with the boy? On which side will you?
I'll
put
side with
your
the parents unless they had very good reason that the boy was really, they really found him repulsive, and if they really had a very good reason, then of course I'll be on their side. But if the boy is reasonable, we'll give them a chance to meet and talk
and get to
know each other.
That's not how it works.
When the whole idea of their coming started, I only thought, they'll come, they will see Roshi, who hasn't seen them in years, and the children, and I thought what a great thing it will be for them. It is at the time of actually being at the airport, I started thinking a great change would have to take place in my life, which is of course marriage. I knew that I can no longer be a fugitive. I just have to decide to stop running. I felt so tired, I felt guilty, and yet I felt happy, and yet I felt miserable.
Which I have forgotten her passport on board.
When you're dying, they say you see your whole life, like a film at a very fast speed, being flashed in front of you. The East and the West, every individual member of the family, they all sort of were spinning through my mind. It was a great time of testing, or almost like a time of judgment.
ये कौन है? ये कौन है ये?
अच्छा, अब्बाजान आप मिले ना?
हाँ।
मिले ही नहीं हो।
I don't know what will happen in the future. My parents have arranged my marriage, which I knew was forthcoming when they were visiting us in London. And my whole family believed this to be best for me. And I've sort of given in because I find when I was in Pakistan, all the battles I fought, I lost. Now I've come to England because of this immigration problem. I'm not really allowed to live as I choose. It's not that I mind working here, it's just that I can't be what I want. And I'm so tired of it now that I just, that I've given in now, really. I find it is useless to go on sort of fighting a battle that I cannot win, even here in England.